My name is Joseph Edmonds, and welcome back to Unintentionally Me today. So today I have a crazy, outrageous story for you guys today, and I'm not talking about the last time I did a story time where it was just kind of a funny comedy story. No, I mean I literally have something freaking crazy for you guys to hear. I don't know why I'm talking so slow. I usually never talk that slow in any of my videos. Anyway, we gotta jump right into this, because this is some freaking crazy crap. I just hit my green screen, so if there was a little fluctuation in the thingy, anyway. So this is seriously some crazy stuff that went down. This story begins in December of 2016, which was just about a month ago, because today is, I believe, the 27th of January. So what happened was, we have two driveways in our home. Obviously, one's the main driveway where we park our cars. The other driveway is kind of like a half driveway, and it's on the side of my house, right by where my room is, right where I'm standing right now. The driveway is a little off to the right. And this driveway is kind of like a half driveway. We use it as a basketball court because it has a built-in basketball hoop there, so we use it as a basketball court rather than a driveway. But during the Christmas holiday, we decided we needed to use both driveways, obviously, because we were having a Christmas party. Now, here was the problem with using both of our driveways. Our neighbor thought it would be a good idea to use our driveway. Now, at first, he was using it to put logs, like store logs or like boxes for a few days at a time, which we had no problem with. Me and my family had no problem with him putting logs or something there. But then, since we didn't say anything, he took it a step further and decided, hey, what if I put my car in that driveway? So, this is really where the story starts to take a terrible turn. So he started to park his car there, and then the next thing you knew, he moved his RV over there. And then he parked his RV, his car, everything on our driveway here. And first of all, we were kind of a little annoyed at first, but we're like, okay, well, maybe we'll just, maybe he'll move it, whatever. Maybe he's just, figuring out a place to put this stuff. So we gave him about, a week to move his stuff without, like, we're just seeing what he's doing at about this first week. But then it's about a week before Christmas, and so then my dad goes over there to talk to the neighbor, and he says, hey, we're going to have a Christmas party. I'm going to have to ask you to move your RV and your car out of our driveway. And then he goes, okay, well, after Christmas, I'll move it. And my dad goes, no, you're going to have to move it before Christmas because we're going to need the parking. And this guy goes, okay, well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And so clearly this neighbor is not getting it. He is, he's not understanding what we're saying. He's constantly parking in our driveway. Even to this day, he's done it a couple times, but that's, like, I'll get into that in a little bit. So we keep saying, no, we need you to move it because we're going to have company here, and they're going to use this driveway to park in for our Christmas party. And he goes, well, I'll move it on Christmas Day. And we said, no, we need you to move it before Christmas Eve. And so he goes, okay, fine, but can I move it back? Or, he goes, well, can I move it back on Christmas Day? And my dad goes, no, I'd rather you not park in our driveway anymore, which is very respectful, very understandable, because it's our driveway, we don't want you parking there. And we said all this stuff out of respect, we were being kind and caring and respectful, blah, blah, blah. And we gave this guy a week to move his car. He still had not moved it until the day before Christmas. He moved it on Christmas Eve, which, for one, Christmas Eve is the day we had our Christmas party. He moved it, I think, 45 minutes before our guests started showing up. So he did end up moving it, but then he moved it on our street, for one. Like, on the street, which is nothing we could do about with the RV and such. Although there's, a city thing where you can only have it on your street for 48 hours and then you have to move it, or store it. And so he would just constantly move it up the side of our house, not the side of his, which is besides the point. There's some drama with that too, and I'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, this guy would be like, and so then after he moved it on, I think the day after, or 2-3 days after Christmas, he comes over here to talk to my dad, and he goes, hey, can I move my RV and my car back? And we like, no, we'd rather you not park in our driveway. We're like, we'd rather you not park in our driveway, thanks for understanding, kind of thing. We're kind of being respectful about it. We're like, no, that's our driveway, we'd rather you not use it. And this guy goes, okay, well, we can talk about it. We can talk about me moving there. You know what? Hey, I've looked into it. I know it costs $35 a month to store an RV, which, by the way, is false information. Typically, to store an RV into a storage unit is typically about $100 and $120. That's on average. That's not even, like, that's probably not even, the most You know, that's probably not even the right price, but I know for a fact it's about $120. So he goes, well, I'll pay you $35 a month to park here. And we're like, no, we'd rather you not use our driveway. For one, that's a liability if we let somebody park in our driveway with permission and something happens to their car. That's on us, not on them. You know, second, it's just, you know, it's not something you should do. So anyway, he goes, well, we'll talk about it. And my dad goes, no, I'd rather you not park there. And we kind of have the same talk over and over and over. So finally he gets it through his head that we don't want him parking in our driveway. So he moves his RV out onto the street, like I said, like he left it out on the street. He didn't move his cars back. He just left it out on the street. But his RV was on the street, but his car remained parked. Or he moved his car back into our driveway. So then my dad kind of gets a little irritated, and he wasn't home one day, so we had to go and leave a note, because we went over there to knock on his door to tell him to move his car. You know, because now that we're aware of this situation, because it took us a little while to become aware that he was doing it all the time. We thought it was just once or twice, but no, it became an aware situation that he was doing it all the time. So we had to go over there and knock on his door one day and tell him, hey, you need to move your car. But he wasn't there, so we had to leave a note. So my dad goes and leaves a note on his car that says, can you please move your car and don't park on our driveway anymore, please, thank you, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a very respectful note. I've read it myself. My dad wrote it. And then about 3 hours later that day, it's just began to be nighttime. And then we get a note. Like, I heard somebody pound on our front door, but my dad wasn't here at the time, so I didn't answer the door. I just, you know, figured blah, blah, blah. And then my dad ends up getting home about 20 minutes after somebody got done pounding on our door. And then I told my dad, well, somebody was pounding on our door. And the next thing you know, my dad goes to go to the store to get us something for dinner. Because we were going to make, I think, lasagna or something that night. Anyway, but that's besides the point. So my dad ends up leaving for the store, but on our door was taped a note that my dad didn't notice the first time he walked through the door. There was a note that says, hey, if you want me to move my car, why don't you be a man and come talk to me about it? First of all, this was a very rude, threatening letter. I do not have the letter to show you because the neighbors ended up stealing back the note and tearing it up from us. And I'll get into that in a little bit. And so my dad was mad at this point, and so he starts to go over to the neighbor's house. And this is not something I noticed right away. I thought he actually left to go to the store, but then I began to hear yelling out of my window, because my window is open, so I heard yelling, and obviously their house is right next to us. And so I could hear them, and they were arguing right here on my street. So I looked out the window, because I was actually filming a Block 1 episode, or a Blocks episode. And so you guys might be able to hear it in one of those episodes that I hear arguing. And so I pause my recording, and I say to my friends, I say, do you guys hear arguing? And then the next thing you know, I look out my window, and my parents and the neighbors are arguing. And then, you know, it goes on from there. And then I get a phone call that says, my dad wants me to come out there and give back this light that our neighbor gave us. This is something I forgot to mention at the beginning of the story. Our neighbor gave us this light. It's a motion sensor light that he wanted to put in our backyard so he could see if people were walking around in our backyard at night. Okay, first of all, what crazy neighbor needs to know when we're out in our backyard? What neighbor needs to know what we're doing at all times? Like, first of all, no. Second of all, no. Okay, first of all, don't be stupidly crazy. And this story really starts to take a turn from here. So then I go and grab the light. I take it out there to my dad to give him back the light. Then this is when things start to get really freaking weird. This guy started to quote where I went to school, what our schedule was, what is the layout of our home, who lives in our home, and this crap got seriously weird, okay? It just takes a serious turn from here. Okay, so my dad starts to freak out because this guy is starting to talk about, hey, I know that your son lives downstairs, and I know that your daughter comes to visit you every once in a while, and I know that your oldest daughter has her own place, but she does still come to visit every once in a while. Okay, first of all, what the actual, you know, blankety blank, right? I know. It's crazy from here, okay? So then he starts to say, oh yeah, I know you've got, 3 bedrooms upstairs and 2 downstairs and blah, blah, blah. And he knows that we just bought new furniture. And it's like, this guy's seriously becoming a stalkery neighbor. He knows so much about us. He knows our schedule. He knows when we're home and when we're not. He knows where we're going when we leave. It's the craziest thing. And so then my dad starts to argue with him, and he goes, look, I don't want you parking on my driveway anymore. I don't want you to give us lights to put up in our backyard because you're seriously freaking out my family, blah, blah, blah. Because, he wants to keep tabs on us. Clearly, he has been keeping tabs on us because, like I said, he knows the outline of our house. It's just weird. So then my dad starts arguing with him, blah, blah, blah. Here's your light. I don't want you parking in our driveway anymore, and if you do, I don't have to be this nice. I didn't have to ask you to move your car. I could have just had it towed out of my driveway, which is legally perfectly, you could just have it towed. You didn't have to go up to him and say, hey, can you move it? But next time he parks in our driveway, we told him we would tow him. So now my family is, after my dad heard that this guy knew the layout of our home, who lived here, how old we were, everything about us, what schools we go to, everything like this, my dad is saying that he wants a restraining order against him, which he is, I believe, filing, and then we're getting security cameras installed. We have a security system in our home installed, but we're getting security cameras installed in our home as soon as possible for this very reason. And yeah, this guy is he's just the craziest neighbor you'll ever hear about in your entire freaking life. I've been rambling on for about 11 minutes, but this story does not end here. So after all of this happens, his wife ends up coming out. And here, I've got live footage. I'll let you guys, hear that at the end of the video. About this argument. It's kind of hard to see because it's at nighttime and there's no, really street light. There's a little bit of light there from the house and ours. But I do have some live footage of the argument actually happening. It's mainly audio, but anyway, you want to hear this. So my dad ends up arguing with this neighbor over and over and over. We keep arguing, and then, this guy's obviously throwing all these weird things at us. But then the next thing you know, this guy's wife ends up coming out of the home. And this is where it kind of takes a darker turn for him, not necessarily us. But the wife comes out and she starts arguing with my dad as well as me. And here I'm standing out here this whole time because I want to make sure, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to call the police, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of just making sure that the situation's kind of staying more civil, whereas, an argument's not very civil, but I'm making sure it doesn't, end up into, a fist battle or something like that, blah, 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 So then the wife comes out and then she starts arguing with us, blah, 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 like what is going on, blah, blah, blah. And my dad goes, your husband has been parking in our driveways, and we told him to stop since December. He's still doing it. He moved his RV out of our driveway, but he's still parking here. We don't want him parking here anymore. Then the wife goes and starts screaming at her husband, says, you didn't tell me any of this. Why are you still parked there? And then she goes, bottom line is your driveway. You're completely right. And then she starts siding with us, and she starts arguing with her husband that he shouldn't do this. And first of all, this guy looks like an entire creep. He seriously looks like a pedophile, which adds to the story. And I'm not being mean, and I'm not, I'm not saying this. The guy looks like he's straight out of prison. He looks like he's a pedophile. It's crazy. Okay, so this is kind of what adds to the story. I'm not being mean when I say that. He does look like a pedophile. He's just really weird looking. He looks like he's been out of prison. And so that, adds kind of to the dramatics of the story, because that's what, we're like, well, he knows all about us. He knows, all these different things about us, and yet he looks the way he does. So maybe he is, keeping tabs on us. And so, the wife ends up starting to argue with him, and then so we end up kind of closing down the argument. And then obviously, the wife and the husband end up going to fight later on that day, like that night. About the rest of the situation. But anyway, we kind of get the problem solved through the wife. The car gets moved out of our driveway, blah, blah, blah. But then we wanted to start, then the next day, my dad, we kind of kept our distance from them. We still kept our distance from them, blah, blah, blah. They haven't parked in our driveway since, but there is one other serious freaking thing that happens. Okay, this is seriously some crazy crap. Okay, so my dad goes to mow the lawn, and his RV is, it's out here on the side of the street. It's not anymore. He ended up moving it. Son of a gun, you scared me to death. So then my dad goes to mow the lawn out here on the side of our house right here, because we have a yard, and then it goes to the side, because, yeah, anyway, blah, blah, blah. So there's a little strip of grass, and then his RV is parked right in front of this grass, which is still our yard, by the way. He's not parked on our yard, blah, blah, blah. He's parked on the street, like outside of our yard, but we go to mow the lawn because we've got company coming over, blah, blah, blah. And then the neighbor comes over and says, hey, don't mow your lawn, and like, because there's like little like acorns or something on our yard that kind of hit the side of his RV, apparently. And he goes, hey, don't mow your lawn because it's going to hit the side of my RV. And we're like, okay, well, you either need to move your RV or we can't really mow our lawn because you can't really stop us from mowing our lawn, blah, blah, blah. So he doesn't move his RV, so then my dad goes to pick up my sister, which is about a 3-hour drive to go pick up my sister. So he ends up not being able to mow the lawn after getting into, yet again, another argument with this guy. And then when we get back, it was already nighttime when my dad got back, so he couldn't necessarily mow the lawn. So the next day he goes to mow the lawn, and then bear in mind, this is a brand new lawnmower that we have. It's a brand new lawnmower, so my dad goes to start the lawnmower again. Then he realizes, hey, it's not starting, what's going on? This is a brand new lawnmower, there should be nothing wrong with it. It turns out that the spark plugs were broken apart. It's not like the spark plugs were like fell out or, you know, kind of were, no. The cable for the oil, or whatever the fuel, was cut. The spark plugs were bent. They weren't able to be used. This is a brand new lawnmower. And then the next thing you know, my dad ends up having to go to my grandma and grandpa's house to go borrow a lawnmower. But as my dad gets in this car, the neighbor goes, oh, I heard you were having lawnmower troubles. First of all, 1, how would you know that? 2, it's a brand new lawnmower, so there shouldn't be any problems with it. And 3, it was him that did it. We cannot prove anything. This is, you know, another reason why we're getting security cameras, because we can't prove that he did something like that. But we honestly think that our lawnmower was in a shed in our backyard, and we think that he broke into our backyard and then cut the cords, because for 1, he shouldn't know that we had lawnmower trouble. 2, he complained about us mowing the lawn because it might hit his precious RV. And 3, he wanted to do anything he could to stop it, and apparently he did. You know, we can't prove this, but you know it's him, right? I mean, come on. Anyway, this story is just outrageous, you know, blah, blah, blah. It blows my mind at how crazy this story is, and this is not just some, you know, some like normal story that I told you guys like last time. My last story time I did back in October was about, you know, me almost thought I got my leg chopped off, and that was just like a comedy story. That was like nothing serious, blah, blah, blah. This is a legit, serious, crazy, dramatic, flipping thing that's happened in my life, and I just thought I'd share it with you guys. It's really freaking crazy. Once again, I'm going to say, if you guys do know who this neighbor is, please respect their privacy. Don't mention their names or their addresses, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to say that I'm not calling this guy a pedophile and that he looked like he came straight out of prison to be mean. I'm saying this because he literally does, and it adds to the story of him being, like, literally knowing who we are. Like, he knows all of our names. He knows where we're at in the house. He knows the layout of our home. And it's just all this crazy stuff, you guys. And I just want to, you know, I just wanted to clarify that I wasn't being mean when I say that. I'm just saying that added to the story. I want to thank you all for watching this episode with me. If you guys enjoyed this story time and you want more of them, please give this video a big thumbs up. And I will see you all in the next video. But I do want to give you guys a quick little announcement. My upload schedule has been changing a little bit, and if you guys go to my website, unintentionally.net, you can find out my upload schedule by day. I will be uploading my upload schedule per series, because a lot of you guys have been asking me what episodes come out when and how often they come out. Well, if you guys go to unintentionally.net, the homepage, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it will tell you the schedule of my shows, when they come out, my series and stuff, and how frequently they come out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time, and remember to always be safe, you guys. I'll keep you guys posted if anything changes with the story. Obviously, we're going to get a restraining order. We're getting security cameras installed, and we're just keeping an eye out on everything. And so I will see you all in the next video. Remember, I was unintentionally me today. I hope you're all being unintentionally you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!